Good afternoon and welcome to Patriot Pads. My name is Lake Green and today we are out of state, all the way in Concord, Massachusetts at Minuteman National Historical Park, the site of the start of the American Revolution, the Battle of Lexington and Concord on April 19th, 1775. And behind me is the Jacob Whittemore house. 3 generations of the family inhabited this traditional New England salt block style home and were present at the time of the battle that raged on the land around here. Let's check it out. "12 3/4 of a mile to Boston Harbor. That is where the Battle of Lexington and Concord first developed. The night before, a small group of men, a British Expeditionary Force, left Boston Harbor by boat to attack, or with the hopes of arriving at the town of Concord, Massachusetts, to seize purported arms and ammunition that had been stockpiled there and confiscate them. And here comes the famous Paul Reveres and his midnight ride. 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. After meeting at the Old North Church, Paul Reveres found out that the British soldiers were leaving by boat and ordered 2 lanterns lit in the steeple of the church. And the rest is history. He made his ride and he only got about 2 miles before he was stopped at Lexington and captured by British troops. But 2 other men who are not talked about and not nearly as famous, William Dawes and Dr. Samuel Prescott, managed to evade capture, and Dr. Prescott made it all the way to Concord, where he warned the sleeping residents of the impending British attack. And so basically, that is the initial stage of the battle. And so in the morning, the Militia of Lexington, Massachusetts, about 77 men aged 16 to 60, gathered in the village green at around 4 o'clock. But by 1 o'clock, they had been awakened by Paul Reveres. The church bell had been rung and the men had assembled. And they had waited and waited for the British to come down the road in the dark, but they never came. So many had retired to a tavern, others to their homes if they lived nearby, until finally, at 5 in the morning, the British came and marched along the road towards the Lexington Green. And basically at Lexington, they made their stand in the field, commanded by Captain John Parker. And once he realized that his men were terribly outnumbered, he ordered the retreat. Nobody knows who fired the first shot, but a shot rang out, and after the smoke cleared, 8 Patriots were wounded and 10 killed. The British continued their march to Concord. At 12:30 p.m. in the afternoon, the British column arrived at Concord, ready to seize the purported arms and ammunition. After meeting no resistance, they proceeded to burn some buildings. And after seeing that, the militia and the townspeople that had fled, gathered on a nearby hill, decided to take action. The Concord men, along with their Lexington counterparts who had retreated, attacked the British force, inflicting heavy casualties. And as the day wore on, hundreds of men from the surrounding Massachusetts towns arrived at the scene. And the rest is history. For the 12 miles back to Boston, they were met with fierce opposition. And heavy casualties were inflicted upon the Redcoats. The only reason why they weren't completely annihilated was because of a 1,000-man reserve force to arrive at Lexington just in the nick of time. And that is basically what happened. And after the battle, the Continental Militia, or should I say the Massachusetts Militia, that would later become the first element of the Continental Army, surrounded Boston and laid siege to the city, which in March of the following year was finally taken, and the British forces were driven out, never again to take the town or the city. This is the Jacob Whittemore house, built in 1718 by his father, Nathaniel. 3 generations of the family inhabited the home until 1780 when it was sold. This is an excellent example of a traditional New England salt box style house. As we walk around the side, you'll see the sloping roof, which on this particular home was likely built because of the likelihood of a lot of snowfall. A longer sloping roof meant that the weight of the snow could be distributed more evenly, and snow would fall off and melt much easier than on such an angled, steep roof, which was just better for the design. On many other salt box homes, the really sloping roof is the reason because of later additions, where the house was only originally a 1-story and then a 2-story and then a 1-story back addition was added later on. But this house, that's not the case. As with any colonial home, notice the 9 windows, literally out of necessity, for ventilation and for light. There's no electricity, there's no AC. You need light to keep your house lit, and you need big windows to be able to open up and keep your house cool in the summer months. A large center door. Looks like this is a modern foundation. Obviously this house was definitely restored, but foundation looks very modern, so I can't really comment on that. I was hoping to find some native New England field stone instead of New Jersey this week, but not the case here. A cellar door, which is not all uncommon, probably where they would store food and other perishables in this winter and summer months. And here is your sloping roof. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, this is where America was born. Rate, comment, subscribe, and be sure to check out all my other videos here and here. Take care, everybody. I'm Lake Green with Patriot Pets. The chimney mast, the central chimney mast, is large and a very distinct feature of the salt box house, as one chimney mast was used for the entire home. They might have multiple chimneys, but one mast, and it's placed in the house. Almost every New England home had something like this. It was integral to the design.